originally I think they yeah, say that. That's thank you, Chief. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Let's get the meeting started with invocation by Pastor William Mitchell. Pastor, please stand me. Please join me in standing.
Well, as we gather here to discuss matters that impact our community, let's just take a moment to ask the blessing of the Creator to reflect on our shared values and aspirations. Let us pray. O Eternal One, we come united in our pursuit of understanding, compassion, and progress. May we speak and listen with open hearts and open minds, finding common ground in our diverse perspectives. Let us work together to foster a spirit of respect and collaboration, ensuring that our decisions reflect the best interests of all citizens. As we engage in our discussions today, may we be guided by a sense of purpose and commitment to the well-being of our community. These things we ask. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we will now officially call our meeting to order. At this time, we have a proclamation. Whereas art education contributes powerful educational benefits to all elementary and secondary students, including the following. Art education develops students' creativity, problem-solving, and critical thinking abilities. Art education teaches sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities. Art education gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs. Art education reinforces and brings to life what students learn in other subjects. Art education interrelates students' learning in art production, art history, art criticism, and aesthetics. And whereas our national leaders have acknowledged the necessity of including arts experiences in all students' education, now therefore be it resolved that support should be given to art teachers as they attempt to strengthen art education in their schools and communities. Now, therefore, it is proclaimed that March be observed as Youth Art Month. All citizens are urged to take interest in and give full support to quality school art programs for children and youth. Now, therefore, I, La Rochelle Young, Mayor of the City of Atchison, Kansas, do hereby proclaim March 2025 as Youth Art Month, dated this third day of March 2025. And we have many art students that are here with us today. And I would ask you all to join us back here so that we may have a picture commemorating it and that I may also hand the proclamation. So please stand and join us.
Come on up to the front. Good here.
They'll be back here.
Ball
They'll get us a little bit. All right, let's see. Who shall hold the proclamation? I'm going to stand right behind you. You're going to stand in front of me. You're going to hold this proclamation, okay? And I'm going to stand right behind you. Okay. All right, here we are.
Sorry.
Okay, all right, are we done? Okay, all right, congratulations. Okay, all right, thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Good morning, pictures. Yeah, guys.
You did. We all had to stand. It is. It's very much long and short. Very much.
Sounds very official.
You know how to get those whereases.
Yeah, whereas.
I used to sing sometimes. Not right now. Sometimes. All right, wonderful. Okay. All right, at this time, we will bring ourselves back together. And Tina, she is... okay, she's getting her timer. All right. It's wonderful that we had so much representation from our local arts community and to the students. So we appreciate that. All right, Tina, whenever you are ready, if you would please call the roll.
Mayor Young,
Present.
Vice Mayor Wilcox,
Present.
Commissioner Greenlee,
President.
Commissioner Murphy, Commissioner Slattery.
President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. All right, at this time, I will open for a public forum. Persons who wish to address the City Commission regarding items that are not on the agenda, again, items that are not on the agenda, may do so at this time when called upon by the mayor. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Again, speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should give their name and address when addressing the commission. Any presentation is for informational purposes only. Any and all written communications should be deposited with the city clerk. At this time, do we have someone? Yes, sir. If you could please state your name and address for us.
William Newcamp, 1517 Santa Fe, Addison, Kansas, 66002.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, how you doing to my school teacher, my ex-teammate Larry Wilcox, good lawyer over there, and Chief Mike Wilson. I want to complain about our water bill. I believe it's way too high. As a 63-year man, I was working. I'm not too thrilled with Trump, but anyway, that's another story. But he's got these tariffs. We got a tariff on this water bill, in my opinion. You know, he taught me something back in junior high. He taught me what a monopoly was. And y'all know what a monopoly, who the last monopoly was? Ma Bell. Believe that or not, ask Jesse Greenlee right there. He'll tell you. Is that not true, Jesse?
Yes, you do have a point.
But anyway, I believe, as a taxpayer, I own my house. I've been here for years. Mike knows that. I have good times, bad times, as we all do, but I'm still living. I had 5 arteries clogged, still living today. And work every day. And I just think, as a taxpayer, why does it keep going up and up and up? Do you understand what I'm saying? And if I don't come here, nothing's going to get done. And I want to say that.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys think it should keep. I understand they pick my trash up once a week. Is it really worth $100 to have them pick my trash up? And there's other things they do too, but come on now. I remember when it was $30-something, probably less than that. And over the time that I got older, the prices keep going up. but I'm not getting raises in my work, but we're getting tariffs all over. Yeah, something got to get done.
All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the commission at this time? All right. If not, we will close our public forum right now. All right. We will now have our consent agenda presented by Mr. Mark Westhoff, our city manager.
All right, thank you, commissioners. All right, on our consent agenda tonight, we have 3 items. The first is to approve the minutes from the February 18th City Commission meeting. Second is to adopt Ordinance 6719, amending Section 3321D4 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Atchison pertaining to sewer rates. This was cleaning up some language regarding the industrial outside sewer rates so that it's all cohesive within our ordinance. And then authorizing staff to hire Urban Lawn Care to perform brick street repairs at a rate of $20 per square foot, utilizing the 2025 CIP project budget of $35,000. As you mentioned, Urban remains the only bidder on this work for the city to upkeep our brick streets.
Okay. All right, at this time, do we have any questions for Mr. Westhoff regarding anything on our consent agenda at this time?
Yeah, what was the bid last year per square foot?
Okay, there is a slight difference, I think.
Let me pull
I
that.
can't remember.
Do you remember off the top of your head? Sorry, I've got it in here. Last year's bid per square foot, 14 per square foot.
Okay.
Yeah, and they gave us feedback that it wasn't profitable anymore at the old rate. Like as has been mentioned, everything has been going up. So
Yes.
Probably possible they were even losing money.
yeah.
Probably.
Just to comment, I would suggest that we, although with many citizens it's not a popular conversation, that we give some thought to, do we have too many brick streets given the cost of repair to those streets and the condition of those streets? Often they're not in very good shape, bumpy, there's some other arguments that can be made for why you want bumpy streets, but I think that we maybe have too many brick streets for what we can budget for on a year-to-year basis. This is just a small area that you're doing.
This is a small area.
Yeah.
How many miles of brick street do we have?
Last time.
Talking to
I want to say
13 miles.
Okay.
Oh, 2 lane.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
So you're counting as lane roads, 13 miles?
it'd be like,
Okay.
you line them all up, didn't think about lane miles.
I know.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, I do think that it's probably a discussion to have at budget time when we're taking a look at next year's budget. We're maintaining that, respecting the history as mentioned with D.F. Bowler and the work that he did in the town, but also ensuring that we're responsible, that it is extremely, it is more expensive to maintain the brick streets than to maintain the other streets. So.
Okay, and we have more streets that are east-west than north-south, is that correct? That are brick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I believe the
We have more east-west than
more east-west than north-south. The main north-south is 4th Street. We do have a handful of others. 12th Street has a section. There's a couple others, but for the vast majority, it's east-west streets.
Okay. Okay, all right, very good.
I just have one comment about that.
Hold on just a moment, sir.
That even though the streets need repairing, we also have to realize how old they are. And actually, they've served us well. I mean, 4th Street, as when I was on the commission before, we had some funds acquired to repair 4th Street from, at that time, it was from Kansas Avenue to Unity Street. And we ended up putting down new sidewalks and curbs instead of fixing the streets. They do serve us well, and they are a point of identity for our community. And, you know, we're never going to be, if we're all going to be all blacktop, I think we lose some of our identity. But I think they have served us well. I think they warrant some serious looking at.
Okay. Mr. Newcamp?
Yes, and my neighbors here, where we live at, 15, we haven't seen one, but that, I got robbed out and had to verify. Our street needs sidewalks, that's not right now. Yeah, we don't have those sidewalks, so.
Is that west of 15th Street?
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, all right, and I do agree that moving forward, we will need to have a robust discussion on how we want to handle and how we need to handle our brick streets as costs are going up, but yet Atchison is a very historic city and one that is, of course, our identity, but also we have to really marry that with fiscal prudency as well. So, any other questions, concerns? If
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Okay, it's been moved that we accept the consent agenda as printed. Is there a second? All right, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, our first item for new business is the fire truck replacement purchase presented by our fire chief, Chief Weissar.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I wanted to put that on the consent agenda to make it easy for you, but boss wanted to put it out here. I'm just going to go through a few talking points, and then we'll get to some questions that will be easiest for me. First, my top priorities in my role, I feel, are the safety of the community, of course, and the firefighters, but also just as equally important is the responsibility of taxpayer money. With that said, how I kind of got to this point, or how I got to this point, is the NFPA and OSHA determine the useful life of a fire truck. And what they tell us to follow is 10 years for a frontline truck, and then another 10 years as a reserve. What we've done with this truck is we've gone 20 years as a frontline truck, and now we'll take it if we get it replaced and make it a 10 more years as a backup truck. So we've already kind of squeezed 10 more years of life out of this truck. It's shown up last year. The extra we tried to get out of it, we ended up with just over $50,000 in maintenance costs on this truck alone. So I feel like maybe I kind of pushed my luck a little bit too far with trying to get some extra out of this. And then once it goes into reserve, it'll just be used for larger fires when we have to bring in more personnel. They'll bring it to the scene, or if this new truck, if we have to send it out for maintenance, it'll fill in for it while it's being worked on. When coming up with the price of this truck, we went shopping, and we started what we did in the past. We would go to some of the local vendors, especially of the trucks we got. I talked with them, and the way we bought them before was basically custom from the ground up. We would go through a list of the options, which was every part of the fire truck. When I talked to those vendors, I told them what I budgeted. They said, you need to start at $1 million and work your way up. So back to the drawing board. I didn't want to come back here and say I need another $600,000, $400,000 for this truck. So back to the drawing board and turning over every rock in the country as far as people who make fire trucks. We came across a dealer that makes a basic fire truck, which is really what we wanted. We had bells and whistles on the trucks before and found that the maintenance on those bells and whistles were costly, and there it goes right now. We wanted a basic fire truck. We found a vendor in Atlanta or down in Georgia that makes a basic fire truck, and they make the same truck. They just continually pump these trucks out. It's as basic of a truck as can be, but it's exactly what we wanted, and their price was more in line with what I budgeted. In fact, when I came up with that number, I talked to a couple of vendors, the $700,000 what we budgeted, and they gave me a couple of numbers. They said somewhere between 700 and 900,000 is what we need to ask for. So me figure I'm going to pick that lower number and I'll make it work. So we felt real fortunate when we found the truck for at the 600,000 mark. Another thing that kind of puts us up against the wall is in 2027 there's new emission standards coming out on diesel engines, which has kind of made a feeding frenzy right now. A lot of fire departments are trying to get the trucks bought before this new emission standard comes out, which is going to add another probably $200,000 onto the price tag of a truck. They're going to require bigger engines to be able to provide the horsepower that the new emissions are going to pull it down on. So that is kind of where we ended up with what we found. The other thing on the end of this is the 40,000 budget authority. I don't think we'll use probably not half of that. I just wanted a little insurance on the end of that. We're going to take as much stuff off of the old truck and reuse it. Now, some of the equipment has the same 20-year. We've been running a lot of it for 20 years, and it's pretty much the end of its life. But there are a few things we'll have to we'll be able to bring over. And while we're doing that, there are some more higher ticket things in there that I just wanted the insurance for. Some of it we'll be able to take and maybe rehab off of the older truck and put it on there. So I don't think that I'll come close to that number. I just wanted it as an insurance number, that's all. Also, we have 2 older trucks that we're going to be selling at the end of this. With looking at the market now, I'm guessing anywhere between 20 and probably 50,000 that we'll get out of those 2 trucks to put back in the general fund. I can't guarantee those numbers, but just kind of watching the market and watching these older fire trucks are going for, that's about where they're at. Anything I really want to hit on? So yeah, I'd be welcome for questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Murphy.
This frontline truck that we're replacing, this new truck, and we're going to have 2 other trucks, my understanding that we're going to be selling in the market.
Yes.
How many trucks do we have, and will we have? Will we have enough trucks?
Yes. Yeah, we'll have one of the ones that we're selling, we kept back. I used it to attempt to write a FEMA grant for. Because of its age, it qualified for a replacement from FEMA. I'll try that for 2-3 different years with no luck. FEMA's pretty tight with their buck on their replacement trucks. I think of all the grants they receive, less than 1% fund new trucks. And those are usually trucks that have the open cabs on them, they're pretty dated stuff that they want to get off the road. There are no seat belts. They're pretty old and unsafe trucks that they want to get off the road.
We'll
be left with 4 trucks. 5 trucks counting the ladder truck.
Okay.
The 2 burst out trucks will have backups, and then the ladder truck, which doesn't have a backup, and would be one of my 2 ladder trucks. We'll have total 5. Yes, we will have, based on the usage of the ones that we had in reserve, we'll be more than covered with the ones that we've got.
So what are the trucks we're getting rid of? What are they?
One's a 1992. And it's just
a big pumper truck, like?
Yeah, just like this one. I mean, it looks the same as this one we're buying. They haven't changed much other than some of the features internally. And the other one is, I believe, it might be a 2000. Same thing, also a full-size pumper.
Is there any advantage to keeping another one of them? I don't see them bringing very much money. The ones I see,
it could be higher. I don't know. I'm just kind of picking from what I've seen these trucks sell for.
The ones I see bring $4,000 or $5,000.
Some, in the past they have. I've had a lot of people call and heard that we're selling these that are interested. So I'm hopeful. I mean, I could be way high. I could be way low on the price. I have no idea. They're in good shape. They are really good in shape. One thing about an older truck is, like I said, you go back to the NFPA and OSHA that kind of regulate what the useful life of a truck is. Another agency that chimes in on that is Insurance Services Office. And it's not enough to offset the cost of the truck, but eventually anyone who's got an insurance company who referenced the ISO would make a difference in their insurance rates. If we push these trucks off too far and we ended up with trucks that didn't qualify for ISO, for giving us any points for ISO, it would raise our number and eventually it would raise insurance rates in the area. Not a major factor, but it is still something to
Would
consider.
could there be any advantage? I'm thinking of all the territory around the city of Atchison, like the rural fire districts. Is there, I mean, if we're gonna get $4,000 out of a truck, and they can use use the truck in a rural fire district, even if they used it twice a year, it would be better than having it somewhere else.
Yes, absolutely. And I've had conversations with some more rural departments who are interested in them, and I didn't know if it was something that, I mean, it was something we could talk about in the future when we get to that point, but yeah, reaching out to them, seeing what they have for a budget and what we could do to help them out, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, either these pumper trucks, are they a truck with a unit on the back of them, or are they a factory built from front to rear kind of?
They were both custom built trucks, but I mean, they're,
Would somebody want to put it back as a truck? So I guess the way I would that.
I've seen it done. I don't know what it would entail, but I've seen people take the back end off and put
Yeah,
a bed
that's
on.
those,
Yeah.
these trucks are that kind of a truck.
And that's a diesel engine. It's a cab over type of truck, so yeah.
All right, Vice Mayor Wilcox, did you have a question? All right, Commissioner Green?
No.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate all your efforts you're making. I really think you,
Didn't leave a stone unturned to find
well,
out.
I really appreciate that, being a cheapskate. I appreciate somebody
I'm a
looking at
cheapskate
it.
too, so trust me.
I really do. I want you to understand that.
Thank you.
Because how much are we saving? Is it about 60,000? Is that right?
Well, the next similar truck was coming in around 800,000.
It was 800 plus, and that was without the outfitting cost, so it would have been
200,000.
900,000, yeah.
This truck's got that depth on it too.
Yeah, they all do now.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 100 pages of specs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All
That's why
right.
the fire truck costs so much.
Yeah,
Use all that paper.
that's true. And then you said that in 2027, there would be new emissions coming out, and we're confident that this new truck will.
Right, we would require a bigger motor, a more expensive motor. They said probably $100,000 to $200,000 increase in the price.
Will this be grandfathered in?
Yeah.
Or does this truck meet those
No,
standards?
it meets the current standards, so it would grandfather in, yes. It wouldn't have to, nothing would have to be added onto it.
900 horsepower.
Yeah. The new ones will have to have more horsepower, yes. This one will have, it's an L9, I think. Next one's will
I
have
don't
the
think they have
X12.
disc brakes on the back of that truck. You know, did anybody mention that to you at all?
I don't know, that I don't.
I mean, it looks to me like a fire truck, you'd like to have the best brakes you could get.
I'd like to have
It's
some
got disc
other
brakes on the
than,
front according to the specs, but on the back's got.
that was another cost on this one that we've got now, is we spent over $2,000 chasing air leaks around for the air brakes, so I don't know if a different type of brake would be better. I don't know, I'm not a mechanic, so I would be able to answer that one.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to
Okay.
make a motion.
All right. It's been moved that we authorize staff to purchase a 2024 Spartan FC94 pumper from Fire Services, Inc., emergency apparatus sales in the amount of $602,000 with a budget authority up to $40,000 for upfitting equipment. Is there a second? All right. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Any further questions? All right. If not,
Just
oh,
one.
sure.
What's the delivery time on?
It's available right now.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Excellent.
good. That's even better.
Wonderful. Any other questions? All right. If not, all those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Good job,
Thank you
Chief.
very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right. Next, we will have Justin Prejean, who will present our ARPA Nonprofit 2025 Grant Award recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is probably the, 12th, 16th, 20th time that I've stood here talking about the ARPA program. This one is probably not going to make me Mr. Popular, since we had $490,000 of applications and $200,000 pot to give away, so that's 41%. So
59.
math's hard. 59% of folks are not going to be real pleased with this, but I'll spend just a second doing a little bit of background on ARPA. ARPA came out in 2021. The city of Atchison was allocated roughly $1.6 million. There was a committee put together about how we're going to use those funds. The idea was to align the use of funds with what was in the city's strategic plan. And so there was a series of different programs relating from economic development to housing to nonprofit capital support. Rewind then to December, and this elected body kind of bumped up against a deadline for what, making the final allocations of what that ARPA funding looked like, split what was remaining. About half of that went to general city projects or revenue loss is what it's listed in the regulations. And then the second tranche of that, $200,000, was allocated for another round of nonprofit support grants. That application was published in January. It was due in February. The city's Economic Development Advisory Group reviewed those applications several weeks ago. That meeting was over 2 hours of working through those applications and trying to figure out how are we going to come to a consensus to recommend what these awards look like. This is not Justin's award list. This is not city manager's award list. This is a consensus recommendation from, I think, maybe one or two members not there. So well past the quorum. Eight members of EDAG there representing all different sectors of the community. I think if you asked each of them to come up with their recommended award list, it would look different than what you have in front of you, because everybody has their own preferences. Everybody has their own allegiances or positive impressions or negative impressions. And when you have $490,000 of applications and only $200,000 to make awards on, you have to get nitpicky about how you're going to get there, because the way the ARPA allocation worked, we don't have the option to kind of shift things around. If we were to put more money into the pot to try to make this more whole, that would have to come from general fund dollars, which is not an appealing option. So I'm going to read through the list of things because since the applications have been received, I'm the one who gathered those. Some of them were dropped off in person at City Hall and then forwarded to me, and so I sort of coagulated all of those into the packet that went to EDAG. And so I want to list through what EDAG came up with as reasons that applications were downgraded. So this is listed in the policy considerations, but I want to verbalize this because if some of this seems nitpicky, it's because it is. If we only had $200,000 of applications, every application we received would have been funded. But that's not the situation we find ourselves in. So I'm going to read through the list of things that led. We talked at EDAG about coming up with some rules, and I know that's kind of odd to say after the fact, but what are the common denominators that downgraded some applications and left them either at a recommended half award or on the outside looking in? So I want to read through that verbally. If the project was located outside the city limits, if the applicant had at least a partial stake in multiple concurrent applications, if the applicant was previously awarded funding through the city's ARPA programs, if the applicant has an unsettled or outstanding code enforcement charge with the city, if the proposed use of funds was not sufficiently considered a new program or a new project, if the proposed use of funds was primarily for funding a salaried position, if the project or program would serve a narrow or limited audience relative to the other applicants, if the project was generally perceived as a maintenance activity rather than a new capital investment, or if the project was so large that the requested funds represented a very small portion of the funding needed, or if the organization or their parent or partner organization in the application was not a 501c3. If you wound up having 2 or 3 of those things, you probably wound up on the outside looking in. If one of those things was clearly listed in the application as disqualifying, that may have been enough on its own. So I understand that there's going to be some unhappy folks. That's why on the front end we made it a really easy application to fill out so that people didn't spend hours and hours and hours putting this together and really get their hopes up. So with that, I do have one modification to what was published in the recommended action, and this is due to an inaccurate assumption on our part by the time the packet was published regarding someone's 501c3 status. So first steps with the Abbey is listed in the packet at $12,750. The recommendation would be $10,000, and Campus Cupboard, which is not listed, would be at $2,750.
All right. Okay, wonderful. Well, from the list I see, and I understand what you're saying, Mr. Prejean, that some folks will be relatively unhappy, but looking at this list, you all have done a great job. I took note of the things that would be detractors to being funded, and I think that's fair. That's a fair assessment, and I would commend you and the EDAG team on going through all of those applications. And I don't see any problems with this list. Does anyone else have any questions?
What is this campus covered? Is that what you?
The Atchison High School Campus Covered is a
that's
program
right,
that
yeah.
distributes food donations
Food
to
pantry.
students in need.
Yep, students and families.
Yeah, that
in
was
need.
something that, again, came out in the EDAG. Justin mentioned it, but we felt every application would have been worthy on its own. We had to make the decisions through that
So do
group.
we need a motion on this?
We do.
I so move.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we authorize awards totaling in $200,000 following the recommendation of the Economic Development Advisory Group itemized below. Before I read that exhaustive list and the amounts, do we have any further discussion? Okay, if not,
And you have the adjustment.
and I do have the adjustment. Okay, so what we are saying is that it has been moved and seconded that we authorize awards totaling in $200,000 to the following organizations, and this has been recommended by the Economic Development Advisory Group. VFW Post Number 1175, facility renovations for $10,000. Atchison Child Care, new youth playground for $10,000. Theater Atchison, audio systems expansion update for $9,250. Atchison County Historical Society, Black Business District Project, $20,000. Trinity Lutheran School, 5-alarm system upgrades, $17,500. First Christian Church, elevator system, $20,000. Amelia Earhart Birthplace Museum, Gardens Development, $7,500. Fuller Center for Housing, Low-Income Home Improvements, $20,000. Marywood Garden, Live Well, and Mount St. Scholastica, Community Garden Projects, $7,500. St. Benedict's Catholic School, LED light upgrades, $20,000. First Steps with Abby, Playground Facilities, $10,000. Project Concern, rebranding and digital resources, $2,500. Hope Family Therapy, server computers training systems, $10,000. Atchison Art Association, endowed scholarships, $5,000. Atchison High School campus cupboard, fridge freezer purchase, $2,750. Atchison Juneteenth Committee, equipment purchases, $13,000. Salvation Army, expanded hygiene offerings, $7,500. And the Boys and Girls Club, playground project, $7,500. If there are no other questions or concerns, we are ready for a vote. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Yes, sir.
I got one more thing. Can you tell me where 110 is?
Bromley Park.
You playing tennis, Bill?
Yeah, I have.
I'm on over Bromley, right by my house.
Hey,
I'll bring you some
hey,
lemonade.
there's one doctor, there's a doctor, I mean, I'm trying to be serious here, Larry. I don't know.
Well, this is not a participation
Well, but
meeting.
I mean, this is something that needs to be addressed. We used to have lights for tennis courts, freezer, that's no longer now. Out there, that road out there by Patriot Street, out there, there's still a tennis court out there. Bromley? No. right?
Yeah, Bromley Park still has a tennis court.
It's not, it's gone, right?
No,
No,
it's
it's
still
there.
there.
It's there.
That's the only one that's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you
All
for
right,
the
thank you.
feedback.
Okay. Why do we get rid of it?
Okay, sir, at this point, we're going to have to move on with the meeting, but we certainly appreciate
I'm gonna
that.
get out of here, 'cause I think said and nothing gets done. I'll see.
All right.
I'm trying to say something, you guys want to
Give me a call.
Okay. With that, again, we appreciate our citizens coming. Again, there is a proper time and place to address certain things. And again, if you do have concerns, we highly encourage you to come and stop by, visit with our city staff, with our city manager, Mr. Westhoff. You can also contact us via phone and also email. And all of the commissioners' email addresses are on the website.
That's correct.
All right, very good. Okay, at this time, Mr. McNamee, US 59 Highway Resurfacing C-Clip.
All right, so we've talked about this a time or two as we've progressed towards this proposal tonight for a contract resurfacing Highway 59. C-Clip, as a review, is a KDOT program. It stands for City Connecting Links. And so it's the highway routes through town, things like 17th Street or Country Club are part of the K7. 59 is pretty obvious because it's just one straight shot and it's 59 highway. So last year we did phase one. Due to the, let me back up a little bit, due to the funding limits of the KDOT program, which this is surface preservation, so they award up to $400,000 a year for that. It's 90-10 split. So we try to cut projects into chunks to align with that funding limitation. So we did phase one in 2024, which started around 5th Street Viaduct and ended at a point 800 feet west of 10th Street. We worked with KDOT to combine FY 25 and 6, state FY 25 and 26, to finish out the rest of 59 out to city limits on the west end in one construction project, hopefully to make it a more efficient cost for us. That was all approved. We worked through that. We went out to bid. We got 2 bids received. One was from Bettis Asphalt and Construction, who did phase one last year. And then also Herzog Contracting Corporation, who's done a number of overlay projects for us over the years. The lowest qualified bid was from Herzog for $866,894.10. The ideal budget to stick with the 90-10 is basically anything under $888,888 if you do the math. So that's within that. We don't often see that, so I was pretty pleased to see that we're not having to fund more than 10% of this project. And I'm also asking for a total budget authority of $885,000 to do that. We actually had it in the budget for $1.1 million is what we were looking at, but however, the pricing came in such that we're looking at $866,000, but I'm asking for budget authority up to $885,000 just for minor change orders that might pop up.
And just as he said, that our will be reimbursed for 90% of that. So actual city dollars will be $88,000.
And timing, we haven't had that conversation yet with Herzog. We're waiting for notice to proceed with that, but the thing we're going to try to avoid is having work during the July festival.
Okay.
So if they can get it done before July, great. Have to schedule it after that. That also works. It does not affect we've asked KDOT, it does not affect the funding. We won't be able to get reimbursed for 26 until July 1, but we wouldn't have to float very long till we get that. So.
Okay, all right.
I would assume this is state money, not federal money.
I believe it is a combination. We're not dealing directly with federal dollars at all.
KDOT has continued to put this out, so
Okay.
we don't necessarily know where all state money gets pooled from, but as long as they maintain the programs, we're going to assume that they still exist and continue to go after that grant money to get as much locally as possible.
Okay. And what was you said we're not sure when Herzog will be available, but we're hoping to get this completed before July.
I'm hoping not to impact the July festival. So
Okay.
Either before that, you get it all started and completed before that, or all started and completed after that. That would be our goal, but we have not had that conversation specifically with Herzog
Was that
yet.
part of the bid when you put it out, or?
No, we'll
We'll just keep it. conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when would we get reimbursed? I'm sorry if I missed that. Do we know, when would we be getting reimbursed?
It gets kind of complicated. So if it's after July 1,
Uh-huh.
it would be as we
Hey,
pay the project.
Okay.
If it all gets done before July 1,
Uh-huh.
we can get their 25 reimbursement
Okay.
as we go, but their 26 reimbursements cannot be made until July 1, which is the start of their 2026 fiscal year.
Okay.
the state's fiscal
Okay.
year.
So we would have to
Okay.
float, in theory, we might have to float that for, just a very short amount of time, because even if they said they get started as soon as we have this conversation, by the time it gets to that point, it'll probably be close to July 1 by the
Okay.
time it's completed. So-
Okay. All right.
I
Thank
have
you.
a question in regards to that. If for some reason in our contract, we're going to spend the money first before we get reimbursed, is there somewhere in our contract that for some reason, because we don't know what's going to happen, we don't get reimbursed? I mean, I know that's not as far-fetched as it sounds.
And we can have Bob take a look at it when it comes in. But
Well, the grant agreement would be the thing
yeah,
that covers.
the grant.
Okay.
That's already happened and been approved. We can look back at
But
it.
we don't have the physical money now.
No, it's a reimbursement.
Okay, so we have to spend the money to get the money.
Mm-hmm.
It would be
I just-
the state's responsibility under the grant to perform.
Okay, that's what I
I mean,
Yep.
I think if this funding went away, we would certainly not be alone in the state of Kansas in saying,
Yeah, that'd be
"You wait, make us whole. You made promises." So, again, I think we're going to operate under the assumption that
And that's,
it will be there unless we hear something otherwise from KDOT or other reps at the state.
Okay.
I had a question on page 164. We don't have to finish this right now. I just wanted to remind you so I could talk to somebody about it. This bid bond thing. If you bid a project, do you have to furnish the bond at the bidding time? Or it looks to me like they can furnish it afterwards here on option B. Can you guys, I can talk to you about that later, Mark. We don't have to go over the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know how that works?
I can take a look at the process.
Okay. You know how it
I haven't gone
works,
through
Clayton?
that specifically.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
You have on page 164.
Normally, they provide a bond up front so that we know that they're good for it. Bid on the project.
Yeah. But it looked to me like you offered the option here, which I thought was okay.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But we can talk about that. I just something I wanted to learn about myself.
Okay. All right. So are we ready for a motion?
I make such a motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we authorize staff to hire Herzog Contracting Corporation to resurface US 59 Highway in the amount of $866,894.10 with an overall project authorization of $885,000. Is there any further questions? Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Clinton, for that hard work on that. All right, at this time, we are ready for communications presented by Mr. Mark Westhoff, City Manager.
Okay, a couple items in communications. We have a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence from the GFOA for our 2023 financials. So we want to recognize the team that took part in that, former city manager, our current financial staff, and former financial staff that we received that award as a city for their 2023 finances. So we also have a letter from the Kansas Department of Commerce on 733 Commercial. It's a monitoring letter for the CDBG project at that location. And we have a Kansas Department of Health Environmental Use Control inspection for the Atchison Senior Center site. We're working through this one. The city is listed as the owner right now of the Senior Center site on the state's records. And it's because a document was never filed by the current owners. So I'm working through it. It's because of the IRB bond from when they built this. You know, we went through that recently where we signed the bond over to the, and so the process was never completed. they assure me that they know we aren't the actual owner of the building. The good news is they passed their inspection. It's a glowing inspection from KDHE. So we're asking them why we got the letter, and the answer came that they need to finalize this process. So you'll probably see that hopefully in the next couple meetings once they've kind of worked that out. But again, good news. The senior center passed their
Who's the
passed their
owner of
inspection.
that? Is the Lutheran Church the owner of that, do you know?
I actually don't. It's an LLC,
I see.
and I'm not sure
That's
who the
right.
parent
Yeah, okay.
organization is for it, but I'm pretty sure it is. Then we have the board minutes from the Atchison Library Board for January 27th, 2025. And then I have my update if anyone has any questions before. Okay. Good news, the river level with soaring temperatures is back up. And so we removed the auxiliary pumps, took them out of commission for the year. Hopefully, we don't have to put those back. It's at a good level. Obviously, a little update on the riverbank settling. We're looking at some short-term options to stabilize the immediate area around that path so that we can reopen the walking path. But we are also looking at doing a larger geological survey of the entire riverfront area before we commit to any long-term or larger cost solutions, because I think the whole bank probably needs to be surveyed, and we might be able to save costs if we do something at scale versus sections at a time. So we're going to take a look at that, and obviously I'll report back. I know sidewalks were mentioned earlier. The contractor has started working on the Santa Fe West sidewalk project. If you go down Santa Fe, you'll see lots of construction cones out. As a reminder, they are keeping residents in the loop as they go. And as a reminder, that project is new sidewalks down Santa Fe Street from 15th to the middle school. And then on the north-south streets connected with Santa Fe from Commercial to Atchison in a few areas, so that as a safe routes to school process for the middle school. The Kansas Water Office, unfortunately, we were not selected in a grant application for our drive-by meter readers, water meter readers that we submitted to the Kansas Water Office. We'll continue to look at that grant opportunity and other grant opportunities to ensure our revenue dollars go as far as possible. A couple notes. I just wanted to give you an update that on our building permits situation for the last year and where we stand going forward as we're about to enter, hopefully, construction season as the weather clears. In 2024, we issued 56 building permits within the city. 49 were for residential and 7 commercial. And some of those are obviously still in active construction as of right now. And so far in 2025, we've issued 7 building permits, 5 residential and 2 commercial. So those are in line, and hopefully we'll continue to see that construction and growth happen across the city. So I'll keep you updated on that. Little note on City Hall, we are working on converting one of the former offices on the first floor of City Hall that was a storage room into a break room for employees of City Hall. The current break room is really more of a kitchenette, and there's not any place to sit or take an actual break. So it'll continue as that kind of kitchenette, and we're going to have a nice space for employees to take their break and eat their food away from all of the food preparation area. Our police department is in the middle of their training season. Officers are actively taking part in classes around the state and virtually to ensure they have their required KSC post-training completed by the summer deadline. So commending staff on that. They've had a lot of good feedback. The results are actually in from our community survey. We had 463 respondents, which we hit that threshold, and then they said we're good to go. So staff will review those and will deliver a comprehensive report to the City Commission, hopefully April time. And like I mentioned last week, we have a lot of open positions with the city right now. We're filling them, thankfully, but we will definitely have a lot of seasonal spring and summer help. With the Parks Department, at the Lions Pool, we encourage anyone who's looking for a summer job to check out our website, or we also have some full-time positions. So everything should be listed on the website.
Okay, all right, wonderful. Any questions for Mr. Westhoff? Okay, thank you. That's a great update. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate that. All right, as we have no informational items, we will move to governing body comments. Commissioner Greenlee?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Vice Mayor Wilcox?
Pastor Mitchell, are you new to our community?
Hey,
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here.
guys, I understand we got a $20,000.
Which church? First Christian Church.
Yes, yes.
Let me just say on behalf of the church, thank you very much.
Well, you go tell your congregation it was all because you came tonight.
It wasn't a paycheck.
For a project.
That's true.
The church does a lot of good in the
Yes.
community, though.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Commissioner Murphy?
I just have one kind of an open-ended question on, we're buying a fire truck, which I'm grateful for doing that. Are we paying for that? Are we funding that, or do we have the money?
So this one is going to be a lease. It's in the budget for 5 years to pay the lease payments, but this one will be a lease. If you're interested in the future, we could probably flip that and save up before and then buy it after 5 years.
All
But
right,
that's
that's-
how this one is structured.
It's a lease, okay, thank you.
Okay, all right.
So who's that lease to then?
We will now go out and it'll come back before
Just
you.
like that other truck?
Yeah, it'll come back before you. We'll shop that. We'll put it out for bid, and people will put in their.
Okay,
Well,
all right.
you weren't here, but when we had budget discussions, that was one of my key things is if we have money in reserve,
Yeah,
Yeah. I thought we had
I'm in
equipment
favor
reserve.
of spending.
we do. I don't.
And not paying interest, regardless of how little that interest is,
Yeah. Well, don't we
unless
have
it's
it-
less than what we're getting in interest.
Sure. Well, we can take a look at it. It was in the approved budget to make the payments for the next 5 years. We can take a look at it. Excuse me, and come back to you and ask what you would prefer.
How much
to
we
do.
got in the equipment reserve?
I'd have to. Take
I
a
know,
look.
I mean, just that'd be the thing. How much we
I
got?
mean,
How
we
much you
did
think
we
need?
did choose at budget time to dip into the equipment reserves and the CIP reserves this year. Clinton might have a better.
I don't remember exact numbers, but I remember kind of going through an exercise on one of our pieces of equipment, and I can't remember which one it was now, but
I thought we had
so
it.
we project 5 years outright. So we show the scheduled equipment. We know what our fund balance is when we start a year. If we purchase the equipment anywhere remotely close to the budget, then that'll kick out the number for the next year. I would suspect, because I vaguely recall that out in years 4 or 5, we were running really low on fund balance, which is not uncommon because we end up deferring. We'll pick a piece of equipment and be like, all right, we can get another year out of that. And it'll fix the equation. I would bet that if it was budgeted for 100 and some thousand a year, but instead we put 600,000 into 2025, it's going to make us go negative. Possibly, I don't think this year, but
year
maybe
5
next year.
Yeah.
It might, and,
We need to
and
start
we'll have
putting
to
a lot
balance
more in
that.
our equipment account reserve. Is that
I would always be a advocate for that.
He's like, I'm tearing that down.
Equipment off, in my opinion, equipment often becomes the last thing that we fund. So
What I would say is if we're trying to get 10 years out of a truck, we have it currently budgeted to pay a lease for 5 years. If at the end of that 5 years, we decided, well, let's start saving up now in a new 5-year projection to purchase a fire truck at the 10-year mark, then we would theoretically have that money. It's a little hard to get that prediction right of where money's going to be in 5 years, but that's part of the job, and we can work on that. This one currently is set up as a 5-year forward payment versus.
I'm not sure which year it was, but my recall is our discussion then was about the trash truck.
Could have been, and we
And
made an
buying
extra,
that.
and we ended up making an extra payment on that
Yeah.
to cut into the fund balances, as we said, so,
Okay.
and save in the long term.
Commissioner Slattery, anything else further?
I'd just like for us to look into this mowing thing, see if we can minimize our cost a little bit on that. Letting somebody do some haying on it. And then I was mentioning it earlier, but that thing we talked about, the towing thing. I guess
Yes,
they're looking
we're still
into that
looking at
already.
Okay. Okay.
That's two of my little pet peeves. Yes.
Okay. All right. Very
Pet
good.
projects more than peeves.
Okay, very good. The one thing that I have today is that I would like to congratulate Molly Cook, who is an Atchison High School senior, and she just received a full tuition scholarship from the Red Foundation out of Wichita. Molly plans to study health and human performance at Emporia State University, and then she hopes to enter a postgraduate program for pediatric occupational therapy at KU, but that was something that was fantastic, and again, she gets a full 4-year ride scholarship from the Red Foundation. So congratulations to Molly. At this point, I don't think we have anything further. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll move the adjourn.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please state by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, same side. Motion carries. We are adjourned.